Okay, you guys, we are live. Hello and happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Art of Inspired Selling. As you know, my name is Kathryn Evans Nunez, and I'm the host of the show where I interview successful 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs that come on the show and they tell you things that they are doing today to help you thrive in the new normal. And today, I am happy to bring on a guest who is an image consultant and who will talk to us about how to be and promote our best asset, which is you. As most of you know, with my social selling strategies, the first step that I talk about in the sCUBED methodology is C. And C stands for create a compelling digital personal brand. And part of that personal brand is understanding how you show up and how you can show up in your strongest, most bestest self, let's say. And so I looked high and low to find a great image consultant that could come on and talk to the audience about how they can show up, their executive presence, what they're standing for, how that would be the best. And Kelly's been doing this for a long time. So as always, I'm going to read about my guest. I'm going to introduce to you guys Kelly Duggan. She is founder and president of Kelly Duggan Image Consulting. Kelly has been helping executives and entrepreneurs create the best impressions since 1999. On today's show, you're going to learn how to step up your game, open opportunity doors faster, enhance your current business and social success. And she's going to share her own consulting. The name of her company is Katie Consulting. She's going to share with you proven strategies for image management. You're going to learn foundational methodologies, which has launched not only her own company, but many individual and business clients to career and personal success. So it's all happening right here today on the Art of Inspired Selling. So let's not keep our guest waiting any longer. I'm going to bring on our guest, Kelly Duggan.
Hello, Kathryn. Thank you so much. What a nice
Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
So nice to have you here. So we have some people that are joining. We have a little bit of a delay during the show, but let us know, you guys. We see some people are watching. Give us a little comment in the chat so that we know you're here. Drop your questions in that chat so that we can find out if you have anything that you want to know about images, image consulting, questions of the day, any burning things you want to know, drop them in the chat and we'll make sure to answer them. So Kelly, tell us, where are you coming from today?
I am coming from Portage, Michigan, the land of the North.
The land of the North. Yeah. All right. So what's the weather like up there? Is it cold? Are you, I see you have a sweater on. Like you can't tell, like I'm like in sleeveless. Yeah. It's San Diego.
In a sweater. Yeah, it's not bad. It's mid-50s and sunny right now. So it's not bad. It's beautiful. Colors are beautiful and no complaints. But I think there's snow in the forecast for in the next week.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, okay, we're going to talk just a little bit about weather. But with image consulting, before we get into it, I mean, I just thought about that. You have to think about helping somebody with that, whether they live in a northern climate or they live in a tropical climate or they live in a San Diego climate. Like, what's the best, right? What's the best image that's going to suit their image and promote that? So, one of the things that I ask every guest when they come on the show is you've been chosen to be on the show because you're successful and you've been in business since 1999. Like that's a long time, right? In the whole entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
What is it that inspires you to get up every day and do what you do? Like what even brought you to entrepreneurship? We can give a real short backstory on that. Right. And then what do you have any sayings, any quotes, any books, any famous people that you follow? Like what is the fire in the belly that gets you up to keep you inspired?
Great. Thank you. By now, yes, I should have a book written, but I don't. I have lots of articles, but I haven't dove into that one yet. But where my inspiration comes from is actually I have a healthcare background. I worked for 20 plus 30 years in the dental field. And people say, well, how'd you go from that to image and executive presence, personal brand development? And really what it is, I love people taking them along the journey, getting from what I say, that point from point A to point B, C, or D, whatever success might be. I did that for years in the dental field, practicing in the periodontal field. It was all gum disease surgical care. So you went along that journey with your patient. And that's what I like in my work now, particularly with coaching and multiple session series, workshops, and so forth, that you get to go along that journey and help people discover their best self. And really how that, again, like what we're going to talk about today, how that you can be your best asset to get done what it is that you want to get done.
So really just the aspect, and that's one of the things I love about coaching when I was actually a sales manager and I would coach my sales team, is actually seeing that success. Maybe that's how it, I don't know if, are you a mom? Do you have kids, Kelly?
And I have 3 4-legged children.
Okay. So, one of the passions I find deeply in having a child is like seeing them on a stage, or seeing them cross a finish line, or seeing them make a hockey goal, or, when they light up, I can light up. I kind of live through the emotions of my children. So living through that fire, right, that we see in our clients' eyes, and when they show up, right, and they open up. It's so awesome and amazing. So maybe we share that passion for coaching. So tell me what got you started? You said what got started. Who's your target market? Like, who primarily do you work with in this field?
I work at an individual level with people like you and myself, where we're entrepreneurs, or it could be that career-minded individual who wants to grow their career and move forward. They could be, talent driven individual to high potentials in a company that they're selected to be worked with. So that type of niche or client that I would work with, as well as corporate and companies with business, I would say, with teams of people to within my consulting work, I can do overview umbrella type of services and so forth, and to actually in coaching and training and so forth within teams.
Have you been brought in? So I just mentioned that I've been a sales director, manager, whatever, for years. And I remember one of my first sales days, I had a woman that I knew needed help. I knew to get her in front of clients. She was wearing black pants and white shoes in seasons that she shouldn't. The clothes were not the best for her image. And so what I did was I had a freaking classy woman from Washington, D.C. And I had her come up and just talk about class. Like, I just tried to motivate everybody, because you can't just focus on one person, right? HR things. Right. You can't just do that. So have you been brought in for sales situations to help sales presence? Tell me a little bit about how you would handle that, because a lot of the audience that I have, sales executives, they want to show up in their best self and in non-cleavage showing, non-see-through clothes, whatever it is. Tell me a story about maybe how you've helped some sales teams, if you've done that, or how you would help them. What would you do?
Well, with sales teams, when I've been brought in with a team or individuals, I would say it's probably been more spot individuals in that position that I have worked with dominantly. But I mean, we can come in and work with the whole team, do the same thing. But I would say that, with the person bringing me in, we've had a confidential meeting within the, with the individual and what the company representative and myself, and, really establish what it is that the company sees as in the strengths that this individual has, but also reflecting upon what could be stumbling blocks to help them succeed and move forward. So we're going to focus on those strengths with them, establish a relationship, look at the goals of where they want to go, and then set in place a plan of image development that we're going to talk about today, to move them forward and grow their presence so that it will support them in what they're doing.
And does anybody ever feel called out or singled out? Like, do you think these people that you work with, do they know they have a problem? Or when they're told, listen, girlfriend, you need an overhaul, do they seem shocked?
I have had experience of all the above, I would say. Probably my recollection of the individual who was probably like, oh my gosh, really? You think this? When we met, and that, again, the senior person who was bringing me in, the individual and myself, her eyes were crossed, her arms were crossed, her legs were crossed. I mean, her body language was telling me she was not participating. However, by the time we finished our first full time together, she gave me a hug goodbye and thanked me. So, and what I would say is people soon realize, and I don't know, I think it's the healthcare person in me. I take care of people well when I'm with them, put them in a safe space. And that she saw that I wasn't out there to make her be somebody that she wasn't. My work is all wrapped around how you be your best self. So some of us might have to tweak or change a little bit more than others, but for the most part, you know, we're not going to make you be somebody that you aren't. It's just, we're going to help you reflect and show your best self to support what it is that you're doing.
Interesting. So I don't want to stay on my case much longer, but coming from the laboratory background that I do, when I see laboratorians that are taking off their lab coats now and they're starting to be client facing, I mean, I've seen some shit shows, and I don't know. I just don't know what to say. I'm like, it's not my place. Like, I'm not a fashion queen, but the shoes that are too long and they're in your shoe, the back of your shoes when you walk, and oh my gosh, I've just seen it. All right, so let's get busy here. Everybody, I am going to drop while Kelly is talking. We have a handout in case you hear this on a podcast later. In the show notes, you're also going to have a handout, and then Kelly's going to go through a presentation that I'm going to pull up right now in the Google Drive. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. And then while you start to talk, I am going to put in the comments the handout that you have. And that handout is going to be a Google document that you guys can just download. It's going to be a public document that we're sharing with everybody. So if you can see that, Kelly, take it away and tell us about power in presence, 3 steps to executive and personal image success.
Great. Thank you, Kathryn. So we're going to talk about the power of presence. And my belief in teaching, and probably what you've already heard in our conversation here today, is that you, or if you're looking at a business or an organization, that the people of your organization can be your greatest asset. So I really, truly do believe that you have all that power within yourself. When you think about the number of people who are maybe selling the same product or have the same degree or piece of paper on their wall, or tucked away in their file cabinet, wherever it might be. But at the end of the day, it's you, the person, that will set yourself apart, not the degree, the piece of paper, or whatever else it might be. So as we think about that, what we want people to do is to pick us, right? Pick me. So whether it be for that next promotion, for the job that you're interviewing for and desiring to be offered the position for, or if it's you're selling your goods and service and you want people to pick you for that. Today, I hope that you pick me for the thought and the ideas that I'm sharing. But at the end of the day, ultimately, again, you want people to pick you. So I'm sharing you one of my favorite slides ever when I found him. He's been with me for a long time. My tool man, I call him.
So, yeah. Who doesn't like a good tool man?
Exactly. Precisely.
Okay, I just shared the link, you guys, in the chat here. I like to say that. I'm like, you know, I say to my guy, like, dude, you don't understand, like a good tool belt. It's just great for women.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. So I love my tool man, and he's just a good representation of image at work, or your professional presence at work, or your personal brand at work, whatever buzz term you want to use. I use them kind of interchangeably. So, but if you look at him here today, he's got a hard hat on. He's got a hammer.
Did he just disappear?
He did. He ran away on us.
Sorry. That's
so as our tool guy comes back, when we think about that hard hat and how you can use your image or your presence, the hard helmet or hat, it's going to protect you. It's going to give you confidence. So your image or presence can be for you personally. I use that regularly, particularly when I'm in front of a group presenting it live. Not a comfortable place for me, but once I'm up there and going, I love it. But that's weird because I'm an introvert and would much rather just be at home in my home office with my dogs. But I know that I'm safe and well if I put my suit of armor on. And for myself, I use image in the sense of my dress. I really need to be in heels and a jacket to feel comfortable and confident up in front of a larger group of people. Today, sitting and so forth, I'm relaxed and in a sweater. I'm okay. I still have a layered piece on though, but again, it's like my own personal little safety net or something. But within that thought too is with the thought of, again, that we're using our tool man and the presence and so forth as the image to support you. The hammer, when we think about a hammer and what it does, it drives a nail into a wall or wherever you want it, where you can use that to assert or project your presence to your audience. So another component for myself and saying wearing that layering piece, the jacket or the sweater on it.
Yes.
What it does is it creates a stronger vertical presence. Visually, it leads the attention of the gazer's eye in and up to my face. So we're using presence to silently communicate and direct where you go. Now you can think of this too, of what you do with your body language. To the, we're talking about levels of dress with the layered piece on, to we can look at all other areas that image or presence might be a part of, where in personal branding, it moves on into, like what you're doing out in your social media and your digital presence and so forth. So you can use all of that, which we'll talk a little bit more about as we move forward here, to, move you to the direction that you want to go.
Okay. Bye-bye, tool man. What's good?
Yeah. So
Okay.
with your hand out, there's a discovery assessment that I'd like you to take a quick peek at here initially. And so I'd like to have you think about, I don't know, if you can chime in on the chat, that would be great too. But what I want you to do is on that discovery assessment, the first 3 questions, think about what it is that you do. Who do you come in contact with? And maybe not to share on the screen, but think about the successes you've had, but really more, what are the successes that you want? So I don't know if you can share what it is you do and maybe one of your main types of groups of people that you come in front of.
Let's see if there's anybody here. We have a couple people watching, but we'll keep moving. There's a little bit of a delay, so.
Great. Okay, super. Yeah. So what we want you to do is think about that. And ultimately, what I would say, that discovery assessment, I would say take some time and look at that at a later date. Once you've learned what we're sharing today, is take that information. I say, grab your favorite beverage and find a cozy place, whatever is good for you to kind of think through and really think in depth through these questions for you. But if we think about that, what I'm going to teach is a methodology that I use. I used it today, even getting ready for this program. So it is an introduction to image management. And this 3-step formula is, number 1 is you want to establish a deliberate and favorable impression. So you can stay right on that slide.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah. So when we think about crafting a deliberate and favorable impression, is you want to develop a total presence. So that's what this slide is about. And when you think about developing a total presence, it is a combination of how you look, act, speak, and dress. You want it all going on, is what I say.
Yes, so, right.
We probably, I can bet we've all experienced somebody where they looked great, but then we had time to be with them for a period of time, and you thought later, it's like, oh boy, they don't got it going on.
That's like great. A guy thing for sure, right? But we as women could do that too. Like, oh my gosh, just don't say anything. You look fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or it could be opposite, where they're a hot mess, but if you had the opportunity to be with them for a period of time, and you got to understand that they had many gifts and wonderful things about them and things to, share and do, and they did wonderful things digitally, or their body language and their communications was on point and perfect. It's just they needed some help on the dress component. But it still might knock them down a page or 2. What ultimately is you want a combination of all of it working together collectively and best representing you at its best refined component. So if you think again, how you look, act, speak, and dress, is you want to develop that total image.
Okay, perfect.
So next, you can leave just on that slide.
This one's right still?
Now. Yeah, just leave it. We'll leave it there for just a short time here.
Okay.
So,
Vanna, you're failing, Vanna.
You're doing great, Vanna. So, um, so step number 2 is that you want to know who your audience is. You want to think about who you're in front of. So again, today I thought about who I was going to be in front of. I knew I wasn't going to be in a formal audience setting. I could be in a sweater, but I still wanted to have some credibility and authority. So I put a layered piece on with a sweater. So really think through who your audience is. And when I say think through who your audience is, not only the person, but within the person, maybe think about the generation they're from, the type of work they're from, the culture that they're in. Also think about how you're meeting with. Like today, I knew we were going to be virtual, live streaming, not in person. So think about, are you meeting in a formal boardroom or are you meeting at a coffee shop? Today, a lot of meetings are done via Zoom or online and virtual settings. So really know that component. And be ready to adapt yourself to that audience that you're in. Not that you need to be somebody that you aren't, but be a chameleon a bit in your presence so that you can do that. And number 3, you want to consider the image dimensions that you want to display or have the main hum of what your impression is. So there are 4 core image dimensions. Similar if we think of your emotions of happy, sad, and so forth. In image land and image management development, there are 4 core image dimensions, and it is credible, likable, attractive, and confident. So at the end of the day, maybe you want all 4 of those.
Should I write those down? Let's see. Let's say it again. Credible.
Yeah, and it's on their handout too. At in their handout, you should see on number 3, it says consider the image dimensions. You'll want to fill in image dimensions, but you want to create probably a combination of credible, likable, attractive, and confident. But what I always say is 1 is going to be the forerunner of, it's going to be the first part of the lead to your impression. Today, I wanted to be likable and approachable. So I'm in an unstructured sweater. Now, if I wanted to be more credible and authoritative, I would have come in a navy classic blazer. So when you think visually of how you can change up. So this is where you want to think about, well, in front of my audience, how do I want to be? How relaxed or soft? How more refined and controlling or authoritative? Attractive is going to be more in the sense of the level of dresser that you're just finished and put together in most business arenas, unless you are walking the street or...
and colors play into that, right? So,
yes,
you know, color, shape, form, body image, everything, right? They all factor into showing up. Okay.
Yes. So ultimately, when that thought is, you know, again, to create that deliberate and favorable impression, you want to look at a combination of how you look, act, speak, and dress. It's not just one component. You really want to know the audience that you're in front of and what your goal is with that audience. And as you know that, then you can look at the image dimensions and decide, well, do I need to be more credible? Do I need to be more likable and approachable? Do I need them to know that I'm very confident as well as my own confidence? And then attractive, again, that you just put together for yourself. And what this is, it's that foundation to personal brand development for you.
So I have a question for you, because you know, we both talk about and we're proponents of personal brand development. We're kind of doing a tiptoe, right? Because we're talking about who we are, what we stand for, and what our look is. But at the same time, we need to, you're saying that we need to consider who we're presenting for. Correct. So if you're the IT guys, right, where they're all thinking they're cool with their black t-shirts and jeans and tennis shoes, right? That's just like this stereotype for IT. Or in really corporate America, they're pretty much going to expect some sort of dress or a suit, man or woman, or collared shirt or whatever. So, but I think there seems to be a move maybe in this venture capital backed startup community where it's just okay to dress in t-shirts and jeans or something, because that's their brand. At which point do you toss that personal brand out the door and actually show up in some executive presence, or is it really just dependent upon your personal brand? What's your opinion about that?
Well, you know, it's so individual. It really depends on how tight and tied the individual is to what, you know, their goals are for their career. You know, if it could make or break you, then you might want to, go along with some of the status quo of what's kind of been taught out there for years. I will say that, when you think about personal brand, it's everything that you are, what you think you are, but everything what other people think you are as well. So
exactly.
It's back to
I
knowing,
like that. Yes.
Yeah, it's back to knowing your audience. So if you're going to be in front of a bunch of older baby boomers out there, then maybe you might want to, head to maybe I should change my clothes or at least up my behavior, in the sense of being much more controlled and refined in your speech. If you're going to come in more relaxed and casual and a smart casual look, that's where you can balance it out. Or you could move into the color that you're in. Color communicates. So you have all these fine little details of things working together that craft presence. My other thought with that, Kathryn, would be to look at the thought of, if you get an idea, if there's any way you can know how your people that you're going to be with are going to be dressed, you're going to always be best at the same level, to not more than one step above or below.
Okay.
If they're in high-end traditional skirted suit for a woman, and tie, the power red tie, white shirt and dark suit for the guy, and you come in your black t-shirt and black jeans, you're gonna sail south, high potential.
Okay. Nosedive.
But if you came in with a sport coat on and jeans, kind of that dressy casual type of look with your black t-shirt on underneath it, then it's going to elevate the look, and you're not going to be that much further below in the level of dress. So if you can get an idea, again, it's back to that step number 2 in that image management formula of really knowing your audience as much as you can.
Okay. And these things we're holding over to, it's interesting, right? We're holding these things over till today because people are on Zoom and they're not showing their picture, and you could be presenting to 300 people, but they're sitting at home without their cameras on in their pajamas. But it's what your stage presence would be under the assumption of if it was out in a normal setting, right?
Yeah, in a normal setting.
How it would be in the normal setting.
Right, yeah, and today, good point, when you're thinking about, we're also virtual digital right at the moment, is that you still need to dress for work. So in fact, my most recent article that goes out next week for my LinkedIn articles is on dressing for the camera, and some tips, and it gives some pointers to within the type of garments as well too. But yeah, the pajama pants and the sweatshirts, I mean, if it's somebody if it's a coworker and you've known them for a long, long time and you're just working on a project together, that's one thing. But if you're in front of it's a group of people, you should at least be business casual. And women, take time to put a little makeup on, do your hair, groom, finish.
Yes.
Guys, if you're the keynote speaker and so forth, powder is a good thing.
For a guy even, right?
Yes.
Hey guys, now's
powder
your
nose. Don't let me scare you away, though. I'm not, So, yeah. So again, it's just that simple formula, and it's planning, it's knowing those details. And then, at an individual level, what's right for one person is going to be different than another. And that's the beauty of crafting a personal brand or your presence, so that it's unique and special to you.
Okay.
Great. So we can, this is a favorite quote of mine that is very supportive of presence. So when we're talking about dress, that's actually a communication skill too. So all of the thought of how you look, act, speak, and dress is all communications related. So it states, communicate skillfully in how you look, act, speak, and dress, and it'll shape people, see, experience, respond to you. Excuse me, as I choke on that. So ultimately what it says is, if you communicate, you can get by, but if you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles.
Oh, I like that saying.
So it lies into the details of that. So communicating skillfully will allow you to shape that impression that others have of you. So when we think about that, we've all heard about first impressions, right?
Yes, we have.
Shouldn't judge a book by its cover.
But it's human nature. We can't help it.
It is. It just happens. And actually, visual impact occurs in 7 to 20 seconds. So what I always say, before I ever had time to open up my mouth, you decided if I had something to offer or not. So now marketers, which you may know of this too, Kathryn, is now some of them are saying 3 to 4 seconds. I need to get the final research or study on it before I'm going to state that, but it's a click of a finger and you've made an impression. So you want to craft it well and craft it by how you look, act, speak, and dress. So let's look at some of my professional versus amateur. So these are some pictures, 2 sets that looks at the image management formula at work from that dress side of things, because visual impression happens so fast that we're going to focus our time, like we have in our earlier conversations too, a little bit more dress focused for our time today.
Okay.
But if we looked at these photos here right now, which one's not going to open doors or probably get an offer for another phone call or another meeting or
I'm going to choose the guy to the far left.
I think you're right.
He doesn't match. His jacket doesn't fit right. He probably has black shoes on and a brown belt. Let me see. Nope, he's at least got the right color shoes.
Yeah, he has coordinated his belt and shoes. Yes, so exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is an example of Rob, and we think back into that formula of he needs to not only look at dress, but if we look at his posture and how he carries himself, and the other 2 pictures too, facial expressions and so forth, body language that we'll be able to see just from from the pictures, from a visual presence. But that's looking at that total presence, how you look, act, speak, and dress. We're thinking about the audience. Now, he was an adult student getting ready to job seek, this individual, as I was working with him. So the audience that he was going to be in front of was HR and out networking, so getting ready for job interviews and so forth. So we think about the image dimensions. He wanted to dominantly appear confident and credible. So we gave him 2 looks, that one without a jacket, which would be a little less authoritative, credible, more for the networking aspect, but you could put him suited and so forth in the industry that he was in, which was engineering and bigger companies and so forth. So he'd want to go into a company suited. Now, something that we did work with him on was to get some darker suits. And what I will say of this photo cluster, and I leave it in because it's a great example now, is that he could start to be creating some risks for himself now with, say, the suited look that he's in because of the fit and the style of it, or even into the color. So truly for jackets are shorter now. The color of it actually would take him a little bit more to social dress versus business dress. So looking at this image management formula in play. So then let's look at our next set pictures here. This is Sue. Sue was RN working clinically, and she was starting a health and wellness company when we met.
Okay.
So what we worked on was, again, learning her audience. She was going to be in front of HR, healthcare executives, and also with patients. So her audience that she was going to be in front of as she was doing her nutritional counseling and so forth was a bit diverse, kind of like mine. Like I might be in front of an audience on camera to up in front of a group, but in my image and style work, I could be in somebody's closet too. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to wear the same thing. So within Sue's development and defining, with that foundation of her personal brand was that she needed that credibility and likability to kind of come through in her dress. So we gave her to the far right that classic, more suited look, but who she was very creative and playful. She hummed and sung through her whole photo shoot here.
I really like the middle one.
Yeah, she's super bubbly. But then, yes, the middle one gave her a lot of mix and match separates. She could throw on a layered dark cardigan sweater over it if she wants to kind of elevate her look or be warmer. But to soften the look and so forth, she could drop the layered piece and just be in the top, and her base being in the picture a pant, but it could go to a skirt too. So when you look at these pictures, Kathryn, any thoughts come to mind that you'd like to share with your audience?
So nutrition, right? If I just talking about her, and what I was going to say is that what the person does gives us a visual image about what we're going to expect before we see the person.
Mm-hmm.
Both in our digital world of branding. For example, if somebody owns a coffee shop or they're selling coffee or something, when you're thinking about their brand and their font, you're going to use rich browns and greens. Like that's what I'm going to think of, are, turquoises
Mm-hmm.
for a
Mm-hmm.
coffee shop, or Banks blues and greens, really classic fonts. For this person in nutrition, definitely the middle look is great. It's the far right might be a little too fancy, unless she's like a nurse practitioner, or I don't know. I really like the middle look. I really like the middle look. It
And
says a
that's
lot.
where I would say that's where she would spend most of her time dressed. We gave her that suited look for when she needed to walk into, a HR director's office,
Yeah, for sure.
for those serious business appointments, where she was looking to land business. But once she was in her role and doing her nutritional counseling and healthcare aspect of work, you're right. That middle component with those mixed match separates and some colors that have that friendliness and
Far right,
approachability to it.
she probably feels more powerful in the far right as well, because if she's in the middle one every day, in and out, she's going to feel more powerful in the far right.
Right.
And the left is what she did before.
Right.
Right.
And she's not bad. I mean, Sue had a good image, but she looks younger. She looks thinner.
Oh, so cute. Love the haircut
She
too.
looks more professional.
Mhm.
All those things, again, that are going to support her for the successes that she desired of growing this new area of her business.
Yep.
And it was the power presence that was doing that for her.
So we have some new people joining us, you guys. Oh, they're coming on and off. Just if you have any questions, we're talking today about image consulting and dressing for power and presence. And we have a handout that is in the comments. So if you guys have any questions, or like you have a specific question for our image consultant, don't hesitate to drop that in the comments.
Yes, please ask.
So now we're
going to start to wind down, and would love to answer any questions too. But what I would ask you to do as we start to kind of final thoughts and comments here is, again, go back on the handout. There's that discovery assessment. We initially talked about questions 1 through 3 of, what do you do? Who do you come into contact? What successes do you want? Now, even just from the short period of time that we had together here today, what I'd ask you is, right now, what could you do differently? What could you do better than you're already doing to establish your professional presence and lay that foundation, or continue to grow a personal brand? So I don't know if you want to you type that into.
Okay, you guys.
Is there anything that you can take away right now, or you might be thinking about? That, I mean, we're talking about things that you do already every day. You get dressed, you talk to people. Our bodies never stop communicating, so it's always going on. So we're not telling you about something maybe new or that you didn't know about, but hopefully we're talking about it in a different way.
So let me be selfish for a minute. So if you've seen my brand, you see my bright colors, you see what I'm about. I have this live show. I interview people. So if you were going to tell me what colors I should wear, how I should dress, because you're only seeing like from my neck up. So what kind of things would you tell me from a image consultant thing that would help my camera presence be authoritative and stand for my brand? Okay. Any tips on that?
Some tips on that would be, and these would be for anyone, but just from our times together, that the darker, the more authoritative the color. So if you want, like you were saying, more authority, credibility, and so forth, darker tones versus light or soft tones. So you could be just in a blouse or a shirt, but in darker tones will do that. Also, you can add a layered piece. I know, again, because we're the way we are, if I tip my screen down here a little bit, you'll see I have a layered piece with the collar of my cardigan over it. So that layered piece, the cardigan, the jacket, it could be unstructured like I have, or it could be a structured if you think of a classic jacket. What that does is it creates and accentuates what's called the magic Y in business. So you have, if you think of a V right here at your mid chest up to your face, you want the attention of the people who are looking at you to come here and up to the face and then out to and hear what you're saying. So the layered part of a collar or a neckline will do that. So having a collar on a blouse and or the layered piece over will add vertical presence in the look, so it leads you in and up to the face.
I can't even tell you if I own a single collared.
Some people do, some people don't.
I don't know if I do. And one of the things that I've tried to be conscious of in my shows is to be a solid color, because I've got enough going on behind me already that I don't really want a lot of clashing. And I want it to be toned down so that the focus goes more to my guest than to me.
I think that's good.
And it's been hot. So I guess when it gets a little cooler, I'll go back to a little layer.
I will say right now, though, with the advent of being where you're positioned with your screen, you don't necessarily, until you raise your arms up, we don't see that you don't have, say, a long sleeve blouse on. We're just seeing at the shoulder, so that you're good. I do like the idea of the solid over a pattern shirt or sweater or cardigan or jacket or whatever it might be, because then, it doesn't clash or get too busy again off from the background that's behind you, but it lets the face remain the focal point.
And so when you meet with people now, you're not so much able to go into their closets. Are you doing some virtual closet things? Or are you going to people's homes? What are you doing to be able to work with people who aren't necessarily in Michigan?
I still work a combination of in-person and virtual, but yes, doing a lot more virtually. I have some trainings coming up for some corporate work. We're doing 2 keynotes, all virtual.
Okay.
And then with individuals, locally, I have done some in-person work, kind of dependent on the individual themselves. But it can be done. Yeah. So closet work, I have an on-site closet service, as well as I have a virtual closet service. My signature style work can be done in person and or virtually. I back into a process of understanding color, line, style, know who you are, where you're going, who you are on the inside, your personality, and so forth. It crafts a personal style for you. And we do that again in person or virtually too.
So you guys, my audience, you're going to have to let me know if you'd like to have Kelly back, and we could have some Zoom calls where we could talk about some pieces you might have questions about. We could maybe try to put together some signature pieces, that would be important to you, because almost all of my clients speak. They're on the stage. They are doing videos because that's what I'm pushing them to do. So it might be great to have some Kelly Duggan consulting time in a Zoom call. So if you guys are interested, let me know, and we'll put something like that together, especially for NAWSP, which is the National Association of Women Sales Professionals. We've talked about having an image consultant come on so we can talk about the B2B female sales executive and what's acceptable. There are a lot of them are selling into male-dominated industries. So we wanted to find what are some good go-to pieces that will help them see your brain when you're talking, right? Because if you're in a male-dominated society, you don't want to show a lot of leg unless you do. So we really need to be cognizant of that as women, especially younger women coming into a field. What was cute and sassy in the bar will not be cute and sassy at work.
Yep, I agree. In fact, a client that I've just wrapping up a coaching program with, that's precisely what I worked with her with. She's running in the industry that she was in. She's doing more coaching work and training in it as well, and was speaking at a national event. And she had a keynote to do, and then she was also leading some roundtables and so forth. And so we looked at how she should best present herself and the types of looks so that it elevated her and what she was doing, but left, her to be able to get done what she needed to be able to do within the groups that she was in and travel to do it. She was actually at a conference that was in person right now, which was kind of odd to hear, but.
No, I'm hearing some people like in Texas, they're doing some in-person networking again. Where was your client going to? What state?
She was headed to DC, Washington, DC.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we're really not doing much in California, not at all, especially if there's this second wave that's coming. So Kelly, if somebody wants to work with you, if they wanted to work one-on-one, can you give us kind of a range of pricing? Because somebody might think that an image consultant is just way out of their price range or their wheelhouse. Can you give us a little bit of range about what it would cost to work with you?
Yes. So I offer services from an executive presence coaching level to the studio services that from a distance within the virtual packages and so forth. So my executive presence coaching work, which would include my personal brand work, starts at $1,800. Up to my bigger, 9 to 12 month programs are around $8,000. And then my studio service work, my signature style program is about $850 for an intro, or not an intro, but a solid foundation to signature style development as a foundation.
So hopefully you guys can see that it's not that much, and it's really important to establish that presence. When I was younger, so let's say 14 years ago, I did hire an image consultant. I was on a TV show to do a whole makeover, and she came in my closet and she just had a field day, right? This will work. This isn't going to work. This is work. And she went shopping. So it's a fun experience if you guys haven't gone through it. Do you do color? I even had my color done, and I have little swatches. That was a really fun experience as well. What color you guys might not think about it, right? We did what color of jewelry I should wear, what color of lip tones I should wear, nail polish. I mean, the whole thing. So it's fun, and it's something you could, let's call it self-care. Right?
It is. I mean, and ultimately, again, that's that foundation of, people know how you feel about yourself, and that self-care is huge and important to do. So yes. Yeah. So.
Yep. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you so much for being on here and for supporting everybody in their personal branding and their image consulting. And everybody sees that we have Kelly's handout in the notes. It's kellyduggan.com. Super easy to remember. 2 G's and an AN.
Yes.
And then you have another. What is the second website?
I have kellyduggan.com is my main image consulting site, which I will tell you, I have a new website going live, hopefully in about 2 weeks. So it's going to be really, really a great site. So definitely, take a look at what's out there now, but that's old and antiquated, but make sure you come back. And then the kellyduggan.jhilburn.com. I am an independent personal stylist with J. Hilburn Menswear. So I work with both the female and male client. So all I teach and preach goes both to men and women. J. Hilburn is a personally sold collection, virtually and or in person. We do casual to formal wear. Custom, most of it is custom, but we deliver luxury for less. Fine Italian fabrics, great workmanship, and customizable garments, again, from denim to a tuxedo.
Boy, guys sure get left out in a lot of this, so I'm glad to see that there's some help, guys.
Right,
The information's in the chat. I put it in there so that you could see some of the cool styles and style guides and everything that's out there. So that's a wrap, Kelly. Thank you so much for being here. This episode will be available for everyone on all of the platforms, which would be Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and we're broadcasting live on Kelly's Facebook page as well. So the information's there. You can go back and see it. We'll be repositioning some of the content for future reference. I want to thank everybody for watching today. And as always, we're here to help you not just survive in the new normal, but to thrive and beyond that, because image is everything. Image is going to carry over into you for the rest of your life. Now, wait, one question before I totally wrap. How frequent do you think people should have an image consultation done? Because our body and our style changes about every 10 years, right? Every time we enter a new decade, there's a new, you can't dress like you used to dress in your 40s, like I used to dress on South Beach when I was a size 2, hanging out in the clubs. Like, that's just not going to happen. I can't even get a leg in those clothes anymore. So, right? About every 10 years or about every 10 pounds? It just depends.
It's very personal, I would say. It's, when you think about the transitions in our lives from, kids to motherhood and what it does for, those of us who are women here to, guys, just transitions in what you're doing career-wise or within your lifestyle. What I say, we all wear a lot of different hats. So what you're doing, but the changes in your body are, physically, our features change, our coloring softens as we start to mature. And what we're doing and for a career or life and so forth. So, I would say over a lifetime, at least 3 or 4 times, I will, in my teachings, you won't have to start all over, but a nice update is a thing to do.
A refresh.
Which is a new service. Yeah, a refresh. That's a new service I just put that will be in my new website too. It's for my existing clients, because we need to stop and kind of refresh from where we're at, where we think about where life has taken us and what we're doing and what our bodies have done as well.
Yes. Our new bodies. All right. So with that, I will truly do a wrap. Thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next Wednesday, 1 p.m. with my next guest, where we talk about selling, social selling, and how we can be the best self that we can be. So thanks, everybody. Any last words, Kelly, before I click finish?
Just thanks for having me on. And yes, your image does matter. So
take care of it.
Thank you. Yeah, take care of it. Definitely. Go to kellyduggan.com.